Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and in today's video, we're going to talk about Doge and why you should not sleep on it. If you appreciate the content, make sure to give a thumbs up, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon for notifications. You can find me on Twitter, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on TradingView, as well as Instagram. One word, Crypto Bull God. Just a quick disclosure that none of what I'm sharing is financial advice. We're all big boys and big girls, so we can do our own personal financial decisions, right? All right, with that being said, let's get into it. Okay, the first of four charts that we're going to take a look at here. This is Doge USD on the daily, and we're going to focus on price action only. So we had a top here in the spring of 2021, and since then, all we've been doing is in this seemingly death spiral that took place, right? We were creating lower highs and lower lows with the rest of the entire cryptocurrency market, right? A couple encouraging things to see here. First off, back in, it looks like around late 2022, we had a death cross. That's where the 50 simple moving average, which is the purple, crosses below the 200 simple moving average, which is the pink line. We've since had a golden cross, which occurred in November, but the important thing, it's not just that we had a golden cross where the 50 crosses above the 200, but what we're also seeing is the 200 beginning to curl up, and the 50 is continuing to curl up. That's what we want to see. A golden cross would not be effective if it had occurred right here where the 200 is coming down. Historically, that has less of a probability to continue onward and upwards. The nice thing here is that we can see that the 200 is starting to flatten out and it's beginning to curl up. Very, very encouraging. The other thing that I would point to on this chart is that we want to make sure that we don't want price to start to dip significantly below the 200 moving average. We really don't want to go lower, much lower than this line, which is at about 7.7 cents, okay? Why do I say that? Because if the more recent price action begins to decline below the moving averages, that'll drag the moving averages with it and cause them to decline based on how it's calculated. So we want prices to ultimately stay above the 200 simple moving average. The last important thing I would point out on this chart, what do we have here? A low, a high, and a higher low. We need to see now a higher high come in that takes out this guy right there, okay? Now that high is at about, we're gonna call it 16 cents, right? So once we start to break above 16 cents, we can have conviction that we're going to create another higher high. The next chart we're going to take a look at is Doge USD on the weekly. Okay, now one of the most beautiful things about this asset, I said this in a recent Digibyte video, there's a lot of historical data to draw your conclusions on. Okay, unlike an asset such as Harmony One or HBAR, they don't have a lot of price data, so it's a lot harder to make inferences regarding future performance because you don't have as much past results, okay? So what's one of the things that you first notice about this chart? Well, we have this descending resistance, right? And once we break the descending resistance, okay, we break it, we sort of ride it and shoot up, okay? Right here, descending resistance. Once we break it, we shoot up, ride it as support, what was once resistance, and shoot up. So we're going to have to take a look at the chart and see if we're doing something similar in the charts. They say that history does not often, it doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes, okay? So one of the biggest things that I would point out in this chart, which is very bullish, once again, just like I pointed out in history when we topped in the spring of 2021, we've been riding this down with lower lows and lower highs. We have since broken up, denoted by the blue circle. And the other thing that we have done, which is an extremely important point that you can't lose sight of, we created a low, a high, and a higher low, as I stated on the prior view, right? So the next bullish thing that we can expect, if we are bullish on this project, is that we want to start to come all the way up here and break this roughly 16 cent area and create a higher high, okay? And we will get into price areas I'm going to be looking for in a moment here. But one of the other things that I wanted to mention is what price level we want to sustain to remain being bullish. Ultimately, we don't want to go below this low all the way back here. Okay, so we wouldn't want to go below roughly 4.8 cents. But I would argue the thing that we should really keep an eye on, because I think there's an extremely low probability of that, I think the thing we really need to keep an eye on is the fact that we are coiling up. You see how we're coiling up here? And what I would also say is that we're sort of riding the 200 simple moving average, okay? You can see the 50 is coming down and wants to close, create a death cross, okay? Which I don't think is the end of the world if it does happen. But we want to try to avoid that, and we want to try to keep that 50 as high above the 200 as possible. So how can we do that? The more recent price action needs to stay at or above those moving averages. Right now, the 200 simple moving average is still increasing. And what we want to do is we want to get more recent price action to turn up so that it gets this 50 moving average to curl up. My educated guess is that we will get the 50 kissing the 200 simple moving average. How appropriate on Valentine's Day. I believe that they'll be kissing, but I think we're going to be seeing an impulse up in the shorter term here that's going to avoid a true death cross. So really what you want to see on the weekly, you want to see prices stay around this 8.4 cent area. We don't want to start getting closes down in this area here towards 6 and 7 cents. We don't want that, okay? But where do we think price is going to go, or where do I believe price is going to go? Well, ultimately, like I said, we want to break 16 cents, right? And I have a region up here between 20 and 29 cents essentially. I really want price to get in that 20 to 29 cent range. Now, after we get in that range, what could we expect to see? Well, we simply stated we could expect to see a break of 29 cents, maybe face resistance around 45 and come back down here and consolidate. There's something else that I want to point out in this chart. Once we break 29 cents, this is the only resistance we have, okay? This area here, there's not a lot of price confluence. This is the only real price confluence we have. So once we break 29.5 cents with volume, I believe that we are going to crush 45 cents, this basically 45 to 74 cent area. And I think new all-time highs. Again, we could consolidate for a bit around 29 cents. But once we start you see some volume come in, I think we're going to crush new all-time highs. Doge is going to go well above a dollar. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. If you would appreciate me to put out another video on price targets for Doge, let me know and I'd be happy to do that as well. Could put out a video later this year for that. So what else do I want to point out on this chart? And then we have two quick charts. Price indicators. The MACD's been close to getting above this zero trigger line. I think this is something we should be looking for in the next couple weeks. The RSI is currently reading around, looks like it is at a neutral level at about 49. And the stochastic RSI, even though the blue, we want the blue trigger line, we want the blue above the orange line, but they're very close together and they're well above 20, which is what we want to see. 20 is the trigger line. We want the stochastic RSI above 20, which it's well above. All right, let's get into two other very quick charts. This is the Doge Bitcoin relativity chart, very simplistically stated. It expresses the strength of Doge or the relative weakness of Doge price movements relative to Bitcoin. Okay, I've spoken to these price relativity charts and the importance of them several times. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see what's going on here, right? Or an actuary. Oh, God. I find myself funny. Consolidation down, break up. Consolidation down. Are we going to get a break up? I will give you my honest opinion here, as I always do. I believe it's possible we could either rest on support right in here or we could drop down to around this level. Once we come up and test this descending line for a third time, I do believe it's going to, now remember, this is a monthly chart, but I do believe it's going to break within a couple months. So what do I believe will happen on this chart? I think we are either going to get somewhere near a double topping up here, we'll ultimately wick up here, or we're going to create new all-time highs. And all that means, again, is the relative strength of Doge's price movements relative to Bitcoin. That's all this chart is speaking to. This is a very healthy and very bullish chart, let me tell you. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, last chart that we're going to take a look at, kind of connecting the dots. Doge right now is ranked, and you can see it here on CoinMarketCap, the 9th largest crypto asset. And technically, if you remove stablecoins, it's number 6. It's way up there. Its price movements will have a massive impact on Bitcoin dominance It'll also have a massive impact on the total 3 crypto market cap, which are all of your altcoins excluding Ethereum. So we're taking a look at the entire cryptocurrency market cap, and we're just stripping out Bitcoin and Ethereum, okay? So what the rise in Doge's price will help to do is help us on this chart. You can see that we have descending resistance. We're still waiting to get above. Ultimately, we had a falling wedge here. There was bullish divergence on the RSI. You can see we broke above it. We've backtested. I am fully expecting a break up into this region, up into this $470 to $500 billion region. That is what I'm expecting, something between 470 and 550 in the shorter term. So what's going to help us go from 363 up to, say, 470, which is a 30% increase, okay, roughly 30%. What's going to help with this total cryptocurrency alternative altcoin market cap? What's going to help this rise most are those top 10 to 20 projects, and Doge is in there. So you really want those top to 20 projects to perform very well to lift up the entire space. If you appreciate the content, make sure to give a thumbs up, drop me a comment, subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon for notifications, and until next time, everyone, spread awareness and carry the education forward.
So what you gonna do, $1 on Crypto Bull Guy and his crypto maniacs and the entire cryptocurrency market run wild on you?